So the structure of the placement that we had was over 4 weeks, and we obviously had them in from 9:30 a.m. till 3:30, where they had to come in each week. So the first week we focused on training them up on Excel, SPSS, what secondary data analysis is, and the skills that they'll need for their report. And then in week 2 we had them complete group and individual training assessments, assignments, where basically it depending on what we were actually teaching them in terms of their technical skills, they can actually produce that with practice data sets, how we mentioned earlier. One thing that we did make sure to do is make sure it's inclusive, because some of them had statistical background where they've done stats before, whereas some had not done anything at all. So we had to make sure that we taught them skills in a way that everybody can understand without assuming that someone knows something, so that then they don't feel like, oh, somebody knows this and I don't know that.
But at the same time, I was going to say, at one of your SPSS sessions, you gave one of the students another activity where she could progress her SPSS, because she had done all the SPSS tasks that we'd asked of her, and while the other girls were sort of carrying on with it, we enabled her to go a bit further, so that she wasn't becoming disengaged.
And that kind of relates to the Excel sessions too, where we had the handouts of the guide of what's going to be happening in the session. So if somebody was already proficient at the bit that we were teaching, they could carry on and get on with it themselves, and then obviously speak to us if they had any issues with anything they were stuck on or anything like that. So we're making sure that it's inclusive, the teaching is inclusive to everyone. And then week 3 we started working on the report, where they actually start completing some of the actual chapters. So as time had gone on, they were working towards it, but in week 3 we wanted to start having them like a proper draft, where we could actually give them proper feedback, detailed feedback with like track changes, so they can obviously see that and then make changes dependent on that. And then we had them complete the final draft and present the findings in the last week. But also in addition to the structure of the week, the 4 weeks, we also made sure that they had one-to-one feedback with the mentors, us guys. And so we also made sure that we always practice good ethical practice, because we made sure that there was confidentiality there. So if whatever they spoke about in their one-to-one meetings, we wouldn't speak about to anyone else. And then if, say, somebody had brought up something that they're struggling with and we felt like it was something that maybe they all needed, we could then go and give that support without saying such and such a person said that they're struggling with this. And also, when they first arrived, we made sure that they had a full induction with health and safety, showing them where the fire exits are, where the meeting point is, if there was a fire alarm to go off, as well as if they were to walk around Manchester, making sure that they're safe, keeping themselves safe, walking together, keeping their belongings close to them, because obviously they're young and they're 17, 18 years old, so
just to be aware of the surroundings and not walk around with the mobile phone and all that kind of stuff.
And then in terms of the support that we provided to them, I think we did provide quite a lot of different options for them, because there was the one-to-one feedback, as I said, and there was also group feedback, written feedback for the actual written draft and the assessments and things that they were doing.
We gave quite detailed track changes, didn't we, on the documents.
And then there was also drop-in times for them if they wanted to come and see us. We were available by email, and we also had some informal chats as a group, didn't we, as well, so we could kind of like, so that they can feel like we're approachable, so we kind of like an informal chat with them as well. In addition to that, I think we also provided some pastoral care to them, being sensitive to the fact that they are young, and beyond the academic support, I think we also provided support where if they wanted to talk to us about other things, they felt that they could if they wanted to.
Also, as we found in QSTEP more broadly, students can become quite emotional about numbers and statistics, and the interface of SPSS, it can be quite a scary thing. And I think particularly for the students who hadn't used it before, we were very aware that they can get very, very frustrated but upset, and you can kind of see it in their eyes. So I think having the empathy and the patience and being able to sort of give them that time to the reassurance, exactly. I think we definitely did that as well.
On top of that, the fact that they always had their own mentor with one of us, and they could have confidential meetings with us, I think we were still very inclusive as well. So with regards
we still
to
spoke to all the other students.
Exactly.
I think also another point is the fact that although we had like a general structure of how we wanted the weeks to go and the report and stuff, another thing that we also did do was that as we did each task, we also reflected on each task and like discussed with each other what we possibly think we could do next, depending on the feedback we received from the previous task. And that was a constant process where we reflected, maybe adapted something a little bit and then went ahead the next day with whatever we discussed as a group.
And we also kind of gave the students a bit of an indication of over the next few days or over the next week, these are the things that we're going to be doing, and this is what we want to achieve by the end of each week. So they had like a view of a target of where we wanted them to go. And if things sort of cropped up, like you say, we were really reflective. For example, with the literature review, none of them had done a literature review before. They might have done something similar at college, but not necessarily called it a literature review. And so we created a document and a session specifically to support them of how to do a literature review, and the same with referencing. None of them had referenced before, so we created a specific referencing document, and we tried not to complicate it by saying reference everything. We just said books, journals and reports if needs be, but try and keep it to books, journals, try not to do too many things, because we preferred it that they would get it correct rather than try and reference lots of different sources and then get confused by it. So that was another way that we sort of simplified it for their level.
I think that kind of links in with the fact that we gave them a clear indication of what we expect overall from the 4 weeks, as well as the report itself. So they knew what is expected of them, which helps them to understand the skills that they were learning, not just the technical skills, but the literature review and writing the methods and things like that. That gave them a clear understanding of, okay, this is what I need to do and this is how I'm going to do it. And I think that was helpful because they can kind of understand what it's like to be a level 4 student as well.
And I think by setting those very clear expectations of what was, required at the end of each day and each week and at the end of the whole thing, that really engaged them in the assessment process, because we were very clear on this is what needs to be produced, and if you need any support with it, we can do another session, and we were quite flexible with that. And I think they knew that it was on them to do it, but we were there to support them in any way that they needed us to.
I agree with that.
So it worked well.